Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the anime The Promised Neverland that I watched on Toonami. And I really enjoyed this anime. I had heard some rumblings about it when it was premiering, and I was like, oh, okay, I saw that this was going to be on Toonami. And I went, alright, let's kind of see where this is going. And I wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed what they did with this show because it, even though there wasn't a lot of over-the-top action or crazy things going on. I mean, this is more of a slow-paced thing. I mean, the first couple episodes, you're like, holy shit. I mean, there are crazy things going on, but it knows how to do the thriller and tension portions of this kind of story. This was very much a set-up season. I mean, we got the usual kind of arc going through of what's going on in the story, but this is like chapter 1, and they executed it perfectly. We start off and we see that our main group that we're following is in this orphanage, and they are deferred to this person that they call Mother, and her name is Isabella. And at first it looks all great and everything, and it's really kind of quaint and charming, and you see there's trees and everything. The house is very nice. They get fed nice, good food. They take these strange tests, which we don't really see a lot of technology until they're doing the tests on these things. And we see the 3 top scorers are Norman, Emma, and Ray. And we're like, okay, these people have interesting and distinct character designs. They're probably going to be the main kind of people that we're going through. And sure enough, they are. And we get to a point where we see that, like, this adoption process comes in, and we see this little girl, Connie, is adopted. Well, she had forgotten her little bunny, and Norman and Emma decide to go and give it to her. Well, they disobey one of the rules, and they go to put the rabbit into this truck, and they see that Connie is dead, and that these monstrous creatures that we get to later known as demons, though we don't know exactly everything going on with them yet. That's what I kind of like. This is definitely a slow burn. We get introduced that there's these monstrous things that are feeding on these children like a human farm, but we don't know exactly what's going on, if they are truly kind of like supernatural origin, or if they look like demons because it's some nuclear thing or whatnot. We don't know all the specifics, and the teasing that is done with that is better than most, because sometimes you just see that blank tease like, ha, I know it's in the mystery box, you don't, fuck you. No, this is more like, okay, here's what we've got, and here's what you know at the moment, and let's see kind of where this goes. So, this shatters their worldview, and they're like, we got to do something. So they come up with a plan to try and get all the kids out. They rope Ray into it, and we learn throughout the rest of this story and this season kind of what's going on. It's done pretty awesome. We see them trying to figure out what's going on. It's very much of a cerebral game more than a kind of physical one. Granted, they do train the other children to be ready for an escape attempt, but we don't see a lot of things going on other than them sitting and sometimes conferring. And even in these shots where you think that it would be kind of static and boring, it works very well because of the animation and facial expressions, and sometimes the interjection of humor. You get the typical kind of over expression of anime faces going on with certain humor things, but it doesn't break the tonal flow of what's going on. This is still a serious situation, but there is still humor involved. Only weird thing that happens with the animation is that for some odd reason, someone would be like walking down a corridor and you'd go into first person view and it would be like in 3D. Now, granted, it's not shitty 3D. I've seen far worse shitty 3D in anime. But it was just kind of like, okay, why are you doing that? Other than that, there's no kind of like thing going on with it. But we see the ebb and flow of the story as certain things don't work out. They bring other people in. They get information that Ray has actually been a double agent the whole time and has been feeding information to Isabella and trying to stave off his own shipping date. But he does come into effect with what's going on with the kids. We get another person added into from the demon side of Sister Krona, and her kind of whole backstory and all that. And all these people, the children, Krona, Isabella, they're fully formed characters. I mean, granted, some are given more time to develop than others, but there's a lot of good character development that goes on. Granted, the majority is left for Norman, Emma, and Ray to do, but we get Dawn and Gilda, we get even some of the smaller children getting into the development of what they have to do once they come to terms with the knowledge that they are human cattle and what they need to do to stave off that fate. It's really kind of cool, and just seeing the back and forth, this mental chess game and physical chess game as they're figuring out all the things to try and escape and what happens when the plans don't go exactly as planned. Where we see that Norman is eventually shipped, but yet he is still able to create a plan that has allowed a good majority of them to escape. I liked how they ended this season, where we see that Emma and Ray and the rest of them have been able to escape, but they have left those that are like 5 and under because they wouldn't be able to really care for them, and that they would have that time to come and get them 2 years later when shipping starts at around 6. I'm like, that's an actually good plan. We learned that Ray is actually Isabella's son, and what that kind of goes into. The last episode really does a lot to kind of showcase what goes on as their plan goes into effect. We learned that in their attempt to kind of confuse and distract Isabella, that everything would be okay if the brain stem is intact. It's like, what's going on with the brain? Why is that important? Ooh, it's, again, one of those effective teases that they had burnt the house down to give them time to escape. And the demons, of course, think they're just going for the bridge, but they were able to find a way to get across the giant chasm of the walls that surround their plant. And they're trying to come up with other ways to save the other children at the other plants. Now, when we saw that Norman was shipped, he was not right away killed. Okay, you usually go into this story, if you don't see a dead body, it ain't dead. I kind of go with this rationale in that, okay, Isabella's plant has been known to produce some of the highest quality children. What do they do with those children? What do they do with the boys? We've seen that some of the females can be inducted into the mothership program and done that way. But how did Isabella get pregnant then? Was it artificial insemination? What do they do with the boys? Are the boys transformed into these demon creatures? How does that go on? There's a lot of cool questions about this world that are, it's like, wow. I love the slow kind of reveal that we see in this world. It's like, okay. And it follows the characters as well. It's like, okay, this is where the characters are set. We learn everything about this area, and then we move on. It's like, their world is expanding as our understanding of the world is expanding as well. And it's just really nicely paced. I never really felt that there was an episode where nothing happened, where it's like, oh, this is filler, nothing's going on. We had the ebb and flow of the tension until we got to our climax. It was like, okay, and this is just the climax and the denouement of this one portion. So I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see what they do with the second season, and I think it's going to be pretty great. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes from here. So I would definitely recommend looking into this show if you're into kind of slow burn kind of anime where character development takes a paramount importance and the kind of supernatural kind of horror aspects of it. So definitely, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.